So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about, there we go. I'm going to keep letting people in as they come, um, who I am and what we're going to talk about tonight. And I want to make this as casual and interactive as you want. Sometimes we host these webinars in there. Sometimes when our audience isn't too excited about talking, you just want to listen, and that is totally fine. Or if you're really kind of in the mood where you want to know a little bit more about what I said, you can also, I believe you can, Christina, they can put their hand up and let me know if you want to say something, or you can always ask a question in chat. Okay, so I'm going to also in chat right now. I haven't done this in the past, but I decided today I'm really excited about this topic. I know Victoria Maria, you already have my number, but I'm putting my cell phone in chat. So if you have questions after today, the best way to reach me is by text. By text. I was going to say call me, but text me. So my name is Adrienne Cotton. I am a wellness expert, a wellness professional. What does that mean? I'll tell you in a minute. And I've been practicing wellness in the wellness industry for over 20 years. I have, over the course of that 20 years, I have worked with over 2,000 women and men. And I was the owner of a fitness company for about 16 years. I'm a certified nutrition and fitness coach. And I just think that what the biggest reason why you would be here tonight is that I really do understand the rules of this midlife wellness game that we are all, I'm assuming, now playing. So I think that's probably my greatest credibility is that I've been doing this for a while. I have gone through it myself. I am going through it now. And I'm hoping that today you'll walk away feeling a little bit more at peace about particularly your approach to food in midlife. So, wellness professional, what does that mean? So, that means that I was in the fitness world. I owned a strength training gym. We were actually the first strength training gym in Old Town Alexandria in 2004 after a 17-year career in public affairs and Capitol Hill. And I did about a 6-year stint in corporate America as the head of a public affairs practice of 63 staff. But I decided at that time I was not really feeling like I was contributing much to what I was really seeing was going outside beyond the walls of my job and my little life. And that was that I noticed that people here where I live in Alexandria, Virginia. I was noticing that a lot of people around me, men and women, were really intent on fitness and on feeling good in their body because after all, I truly believe that's what we're all seeking is to feel good and confident in our bodies. And of course, longevity and health, fewer doctor's visits, feeling good in your body, mental health, spiritual health, and physical health. So at that time, I started the gym and then I went through the gym for about 15 years. And again, I looked around inside the walls of the gym now, and I was realizing that my experience of what I was going through with my body at the time, which was definitely perimenopause, was also happening to a lot of the women I was working with and a lot of my coaches were working with. So I decided after several years of considering it to close the doors to the gym and to start a wellness company where I mostly work with women who are going through midlife. And I consider midlife everything from your late 30s, early 40s, all the way to end of life. So my clients right now begin in their early 40s and extend through their mid 70s. So what I did was I dove into the research. I couldn't figure out why it was that I, a fitness industry coach and a nutrition certified coach, could be working out as hard as I was, eating the right foods, and still did not feel good in my body. What does that mean? It's a fancy way of saying I was putting weight around my waistline and around my hips, and I didn't feel like the exercise and the diet I was choosing were working. I wasn't sleeping well. I had toddler twins at the time. I had stress to the highest heights. And I really, in retrospect, looking in my rearview mirror, was realizing that I wasn't putting me first. So I did research. And so I dove into the research. And what I found was that there are a bunch of components that lead to our wellness. I know today is about food, and we're going to get to food. But I would be remiss if I didn't share with you that I truly, passionately believe, and I am devoted to helping women understand that our approach to our food or our approach to our exercise, where society wants us to focus, do not take into consideration three other very important components of our wellness. And that is our sleep, our stress, and how we spend our time during our day. So what I did was I developed what I call my proprietary approach or my model for wellness. As you can see in the middle, master menopause or midlife wellness consists of all 5 of these spokes. So again, today we're talking about food, so I'm going to end here. But our sleep, quality and quantity, our physical movement, again, quality and quantity, how we spend our days matters. How do we budget our time for our wellness, not only, but how do we view our days as a day that is filled with abundance and with opportunity, or the opposite? I know we've both been on both sides. And the last is the stress. How much stress is playing in my life is a big component of my wellness. So if my food is fueling my body, if my food that I'm choosing, I feel really confident about it and I'm feeling good about that, then my sleep is going to be, my physical movement is going to be better. I'm going to have more energy. My calendar is going to feel like I'm actually devoting my life to the food because food takes time. Again, you're here at 7 o'clock on a very snowy day in DC, wherever you are, but in the winter, you're taking 45 minutes out of your evening to learn about food. That just goes to show you it takes time and it's worth the time. And then stress. If I'm not eating well, then most certainly my stress is going to go up. And I'm not going to be able to deal with the small, the medium, and the large size stressors. So I developed the wellness wheel because I'm so passionate that women are being sold a bill of goods about our wellness, that we're being told that diet and exercise are the only 2 components that we should be paying attention to. And I have done the research. So I'm here to answer all the questions you have about food tonight, but I just wanted to make sure you understand the big picture of what I believe will help you feel really good in your body in midlife. So I know that the questions that we were going to answer tonight have to do with what kinds of foods to eat. Why calories in, calories out is no longer something you should be considering when it comes to how you feel good in your body. Those are 2 big things we were going to answer. If there's anything else after I spend just a few more minutes speaking with you about some big points, go ahead and go in chat, and I'm happy to answer any question you have, or you can always go on to my link on my website and you can get a consult with me. I spend 30 minutes with anybody who wants to meet with me to help you map out your path to feeling really good. Let's just say it's a great time of year to set your intentions for really health, wellness, and really our lives. What a perfect time of year. I am not a big believer in New Year's resolutions because I know the research, again, they don't work. Most New Year's resolutions start to falter around within the first month, most definitely the third and by second and by the third, most of them are over. But what we do know, the research tells us, is that we need to develop small, manageable, reasonable, and achievable habits. And I want us to apply that to our food tonight too. So as you hear a lot of different information from me tonight, I'm going to caution you. You have my telephone number. You can go on my link on my website, and I think Christine is going to put it in the chat toward the end. We can always meet. Think small. because I believe you might be a little bit like me. When I look back at my 20s and my 30s, and most notably my 40s, I took on big challenges. You know, whether it was I was going to run a 10K, or I was not going to eat sugar anymore, I was going to give up alcohol, or I was going to do all these huge things. That's not the way our brain operates. Our brain loves small, new habit changes. It loves it, because what happens is if we decide we're going to run a 5K, and let's say we've walked 2 blocks for 3 weeks consistently every Tuesday, then it loves stacking on top of that walk either another walk or another day. Choose another day other than Tuesday. Maybe it's Thursday. So small habits are going to be your recipe, no pun intended, for success when it comes to any part of your wellness, particularly your food. How many times have we tried the word we don't use in my program, a new diet? How many times have we gone with a new diet and it has not served us well? Either we're hungry all the time, or it's asking us to buy foods that are not in the budget, or something we've never tried before, or et cetera, et cetera. I think you know what I'm talking about. Small habits. If you want to eat more fruits and vegetables, then add more vegetables to your lunch on Tuesdays, then add them on Wednesdays, then add them on Thursdays. And over the course of a year, imagine if you've chosen to add more fruits and vegetables to your life, and you get to a year where most weeks you achieve success on those 3-4 days. That's much better than if you took on this huge goal of giving up sugar or wheat or alcohol or dairy, and it lasted for a week. It's just not the way our brain works. Our brain, the neuroscience of our brain, the way our brain works, this over 100 billion cells and chemicals and hormones in our brain, they work with small new habits. Okay, so let's dive into a little bit of the food discussion. So I could get up here today and I can come up with a list of foods you should eat, how much you should eat of them, when you should eat them, and how you should eat them. And if I did that, I would not be serving you well, because I don't know. I'm going to use Victoria as an example because I know she'll forgive me at the end of the day. Let's say I told Victoria, I think you should chop up carrots every Sunday afternoon. How many times have we heard this? Chop carrots into beautiful little sticks and put them in these beautiful little containers in your refrigerator on Sunday. And Victoria does that for about 3 weeks. And then something happens in Victoria's life. Work challenge, family challenge, personal challenge, and she doesn't get to the carrots on Sunday. So what's Victoria going to start thinking about that week? How she failed, my guess. Am I right? And so is Victoria going to want to cut up the carrots and put them in little containers in her refrigerator when she's failed the next week, when she's failed the previous week? It's pretty unlikely. Instead, I have a conversation with Victoria about what's achievable. And Victoria says, well, actually, I've got little kids at home. I have an active social life. I'm never going to do that on Sunday. What I actually could do is I might be able to buy them already cut up and have 2 or 3 of those in the container. And I'm not going to promise you that I'm going to do that every week. I can promise I'm going to do that 3 out of every 4 weeks. How likely is Victoria going to succeed when she's already explained to me and she has a mindset of, oh, I can do that. I can buy them already cut up. I'll spend a little bit more money, but I'll feel like I've crushed my wellness that week, because my one goal for that week was to buy cut up fruits and vegetables. Does this all make sense? Thumbs up. I don't know your diet. I don't know your exercise. Nobody on the internet does either on social media when they're telling you what to eat. What we need to do is figure out what works for you. So I've coached lots and lots of women. We start really, really small. I am going to talk about some foods. Don't worry. Don't hang up. I am going to talk about some foods that I feel really, really strongly about, and I'm going to get to it right now. But if these are not foods and types of foods that you can handle, or you have more questions about it, ask a question in the text. Okay. So the guidelines I have for macronutrient consumption for you. So macronutrient is a fancy word for protein, carbohydrates, and fats. All foods fall into one of the three: protein, carbohydrate, fat. So if you were to shift your mindset, I'm going to get to the calorie conversation in a minute, from I need to eat, I've heard it all, but I'm just going to guess, I think the majority of women I've heard, they talk about a 1,200 calorie day. Does that sound about right? I just got Victoria. Does that sound about right? Is it 1,200? Is it 1,500? Is it something around there? Is it 2,000? Yeah, we don't know, right? But we see it on social media. We know 1,000 is probably not enough. And we know that 2,000, if we look it up on the internet, maybe 2,000, 2,200 for the average person. And we're going to get into the research and who the research is talking to. That's confusing. Calories are confusing because 100 calories from carrots is very different than 100 calories of my favorite rosé, and is very different from 100 calories of avocado. It's very different, not only looking, tasting, but the amount of food I'm going to get and the kind of food I'm going to get when it comes to calories. So this is one main reason I want you to try to stop counting calories today. I want you to count macronutrients. So if I had a perfect world and I had a crystal ball, I would say I love at least 25% of all of our diet in our little party we're having today comes from healthy fats. 25, I wouldn't even mind 35%. That's a lot of avocado. That's a lot of salmon. That's a lot of different oils. That's a little bit of nuts. Look it up. I have a cheat sheet. Come do a consult with me. I usually give it to members. I'll give it to you all if you guys can book a consult with me. And I have a cheat sheet of a bunch of different foods that have healthy fats. And you just do your own calculation. Okay. The next one is something that we really need, but has been very demonized, and that is carbohydrates. We need carbohydrates to live. Carbohydrates give us quick energy. Carbohydrates give us what we need to get to the next meeting, to get to the next day, to get to the next hour. Carbohydrates are what keep us going. We need them, and I would say 35% of our diet should come from carbohydrates. And if it gets to 40, it's not the end of the day. Listen, if it gets to 50 one day, it's not a big deal, because you're just going to always remember the 80% rule. 80% of the time, I'm going to do this. Victoria's going to do the chopping of the vegetables, or the vegetables she's going to buy at the store 80% of the time. If she does that 80% of the time this year, 2025, that's really good. Is she going to do it 100% of the time? No. I'd say there was something wrong. Are you going to do this 100% of the time? No. And then I would like 40% of your diet to consist of protein. I would like it to be quality protein. In an ideal world, you would be chewing it. What do I mean? Well, Sometimes we just can't get the time to make, even if we're a vegetarian, we still can't get the time or the energy to chew that much food. So is it okay every once in a while to throw a scoop of protein powder, great hack, you're hearing it here first, in some Greek yogurt? Absolutely. Not only have you taken that scoop of great protein powder, again, I will give you a list of my favorites. If we get a consult together, I'll give you that too. And I think some of you we're already going to have some consults. Anyway, yes, you can put that in your yogurt. And then what you've done with that yogurt, that Greek yogurt, whether it's vanilla flavored or plain, don't stress about it. It's not worth stressing about. But if you put that protein in that yogurt, you have now taken the amount of protein of that yogurt higher than the carbohydrate number. So if you look at the back of the label, and just so you know, every food label is allowed by our government to be 25% off. So when you're looking at food labels, just know it could be a little bit off, which is why, again, I don't want you to stress, we're going to talk about that in a bit, about numbers as much as just get a range. I do believe that there are some great apps for you to download on your phone or on your computer, like MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal will help you go through foods and figure out how much protein, how much carbohydrate, and how much fat you're having every day. I totally believe in that. Over the course of time, I want you to just know intuitively, how much am I having based on just experience. If you could spend this year, 2025, researching for yourself, nobody else, not your friends, not your colleagues at work, not your sisters, not your neighbors, you're researching for you. What works for you? Because what works for you is probably not what works exactly for your friend, your colleague, your mother, your sister, somebody on social media. Take care of you. Okay, so 40% protein. Why? So let's get into this. Well, protein is what we need to build muscle and to maintain our bones. Our bodies are made up of protein, a lot of different proteins. Our bodies need it. Our organs are made up of protein. Collagen is throughout our body. Our hair needs it. Our skin needs it. We need protein to live. But now in midlife, what we really want to do is we want to build muscle. Because what does muscle do? It's like the currency of health. It's like the currency of midlife health and longevity. The more we have, the longer we're going to live. The more we have, the leaner we are going to be. We want muscle. So if you changed your mindset just today, again, we've got a few mindset shifts I'm asking for, and then I'm going to open up for questions. And then I'll go into the next section. If you changed your mindset about my number one goal of my health and wellness right now, when it comes to my food, is to build and maintain my muscle. We start depleting muscle at the age of 30. I might be guessing, I'm guessing that most of us here are over 30. Friday, I'll be 58. So I'm way over 30, almost double 30. We lose muscle every day. We're losing bone density every day. How can I help that? Protein. So how are you going to get your protein, and how can I divide up my protein? So if you were to just focus on your protein, like a lot of times I will have my eggs in the morning. I whip them up as soon as I get up in the morning. I put in the refrigerator, I do all the other things I do, feed my cat, check work stuff. Sometimes I go and I teach our class. I come back, I use grass-fed butter in my pan. I throw some cheese in there because I'm sort of choking down 4 eggs because I need to get to close to 30. And I got a little bit with my cheese. So then I have my 4 eggs, which are about 7 grams of protein each. And I'm not saying you have to have 4 eggs today. Remember, we're talking small. If you're not eating, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting in a minute. And we're going to talk about those of us who are, who love to not eat breakfast. I am one of you. We are all in the same club. We're the no breakfast club because it's a pain. There's so many things going on. I have 2 very active kids. I've got a husband. I've got a lot going on. I've got this business. Would I love to live my life without eating breakfast? Yes. But did I recognize that that was a part of the reason why my stress last year was so high? 100%. I wasn't eating breakfast. So I'm getting those 4 eggs. If you can get 2 eggs, if you can get 1 egg, I also do make hard-boiled eggs on the weekend with the egg dash. You can get it on Amazon. It steams a bunch of eggs at the same time. You stick them in the refrigerator. It's a great snack. You can even eat 1 egg and then have another egg, hollow it out and put avocado in the middle, mash up avocado and put it in the middle. And then you've got 2 eggs. One of them, the yolk is out where a lot of the protein is, but still you're eating a great snack. Have them ready if you can. Okay, so how does that macronutrient profile feel to you all? I'm going to open it up. I'm going to look at chat, see if you guys have any questions about the 40. And Lori, I saw you just entered. So, and this is being recorded so you can listen to the first part, but 25% healthy fats, 40% protein, and 35% carbs, plus or minus 5 for everybody. So are there any questions about that, or do you want me to keep on going, keep on rolling through?
Lisa had
Cholesterol.
a question in the chat. What
Yeah,
about
see that,
cholesterol?
Lisa. Yeah. We'll talk about this. Gosh, like the 20th, is that when we're meeting? So the answer is yes. There's cholesterol in eggs. There's cholesterol in beef. There's cholesterol in a lot of our foods. But when it comes to the powerful punch of protein, you're not going to get any better than a small, for the size, the price, and the amount of protein you get, it's well worth it. I do have some studies, and I'll give them to you when we meet in a few weeks, that discredit some of those studies. That's a lot of old medicine. And cholesterol also can come from a lot of other factors. The egg took a really big hit. And the egg is not as responsible for high cholesterol in as many people as was claimed in the 80s. We've learned a lot more. So you're welcome. I would not worry too much about that. I will be asking you to eat lots of eggs, Lisa, when we meet. Okay, no other questions on chat. Let me tell you something that's really important to our whole discussion. Research on women, particularly women in midlife, is new. Medical research. So in 1993, the FDA and the NIH finally mandated that women be included in medical clinical trials. 1993. I was out of school for 4 years. So whatever. I was in my mid-20s. That wasn't very long ago. Since the 90s, more women have been included in clinical trials, but researchers have not always analyzed by sex or gender. So women are included in those trials, men and women, but what they're not doing in a lot of these medical trials is they're not differentiating between men and women, what they're finding in the differences. What we want more are trials on women only, because we have a very different chemistry and biology than men, as you all can imagine. So why in the world most medical research that the medicine that we take, I wrote down the doctors, scientists, researchers mostly have been men, but all the cells, animals, and the humans studied in medical science has also been male. So all of the medical equipment, everything that we see in the medical industry today is built on researching men. We're changing though, because there's a lot of women in science who are pushing the envelope, and we are seeing a lot more women only trials. However, let's take you back to that calories in, calories out model that we all grew up with. That comes from that same mindset. We are not researching women alone in clinical trials. So it took until 2014 for the NIH to begin to acknowledge the problem of male bias in clinical trials, and 2016 for it to mandate that any research money that it granted must include female animals and women. Interesting. So what does this mean? Know your facts. Don't believe everything you read, even from me. Research it. Ask questions. Don't assume that what you learned in your 20s and 30s is correct. I can probably guarantee you most of the time it's not. Find someone who does the research. I myself spend an inordinate amount of time finding the latest research studies. There are some really amazing people now in the exercise physiology and in the nutrition science field and in the sleep science field who are researching women. All right. So part 3. Any more questions? No questions. Okay. So I want you to fall in love with food tonight. I want you to also fall in love with your body. Is that possible? To fall in love with food. You may love food, but really to love your body so much that you're going to take the time to almost retrace your steps now. Now that you're in midlife, you're going to shift the way you think about food. We're going to shift it from burning calories to building muscle. We're going to no longer count calories. We're going to build muscle. Food is medicine. Food is how we love people. That's how we get together with people. I mean, that's how we celebrate. We so often celebrate with food. Let's enjoy it, and let's try to take away the shame associated with food starting tonight. If that is the only thing you hear from this discussion tonight, then I think I've done my job. Get rid of feeling badly about what you eat. Get rid of wanting to find the perfect diet. We call diet a 4-letter word in my program because there is no perfect diet. It's an exploration. I'm continually evolving how I choose to fuel myself with food. That's what we say. We fuel ourselves with food in our program. So in our daily lives, we're constantly challenged by outside sources that are feeding, no pun, what we should be believing about food. But if you look at its source and its macronutrient value, you are going to be starting at a great place. Okay. Pre-workout, new research, we must eat. Heard it here first. Women in midlife. It has a lot to do with how our estrogen is working in our bodies in perimenopause, particularly in menopause. Menopause means we have no longer had our cycle for 12 consecutive months. Perimenopause is the period of time when we are preparing for menopause, and it can last up to 12 years. It just means that your body is starting to shift to no longer being able to reproduce. Both of those up until the end of our lives. When we exercise in the morning, particularly, or in the evening, but I know a lot of us are morning exercisers, we need to fuel our body with a little bit of protein. 15 grams for a strength training session. For 45-minute strength training sessions, we want at least 15 grams of protein. And if you're gonna add in, or if it's a cardio session, and what I call cardio is high. Some folks on the call today are in our program. They know I am pushing what we need metabolically, which is also means cardiovascularly, at our age now is to be pushed hard, our heart rate up high, and then come down. 1 minute, and then come down, rest for at least 90 seconds, potentially even 2 to 3 minutes, and then go back up 3-4 times in your session. If you're going to do something like that, or you're going to choose to do one of the bigger chain cardio sessions, you need about 30 grams of protein. You need protein because we don't want to burn lean muscle during that exercise, which is actually not how it works. We're actually burning muscle after if we don't fuel our muscles before that exercise. And I'm fairly certain you have not heard that before because this is relatively new. For men, just so you know, it's very different. We need to eat that, and then we need to eat right after within 45 minutes of our session. Men have 3 hours. Again, they're very different. How they metabolize, how their bodies work is very different than ours. So you may have a workout partner that's a male, how he approaches his diet and how he approaches his workout should be fairly different than you, although I still would like you to outlift them. Okay, so questions. I keep looking at chat, no questions. You guys are on board. Let me list for you, in one of our groups recently, we had one of our members send this group text to that group. And I just want to see if this makes sense to everybody, because this is something that really challenges a lot of us. This was on social media. These are the things that, according to social media, this is what we should be doing. Yes, time frame for protein consumption around workout. You want to have within 30 minutes of your workout, you want to consume at least 15 grams of protein. And I'll give you another hint. Another way to do that is putting protein in your coffee. It's delicious. Get one of the blenders, the Beast blender like I have, and it's unbelievable coffee in the morning. Then you want to have, within 45 minutes of your session, you want to have at least 30 to 45 grams. 45, I know I'm asking for too much. You guys are going to cut me off. 30 grams of protein. So 30 grams of protein is a lot of protein. Again, let's just say you have 20. You have some, but that's within 45 minutes. For the men, they don't necessarily need to eat before because of the way their hormones work in there, because this is all hormone. This is all at the hormone level, my friends. They don't have estrogen like we do. They have 3 hours after the workout to eat. And they need similar amounts of protein. Okay. So there's a calculation I can give you. Again, get on a consult with me because it would take too much time and it would be individually for you. Based on your body weight, I can tell you how much protein in grams you need. There is a calculation for it. What I generally tell folks in our program is they're blown away. It's high. So don't try to get to that right away. First of all, your stomach is not going to love you. Slowly get to a place where you're inching over the course of a month to 6 weeks, 2 months, to that amount, a few days a week. You will see a difference in your body if you eat that much protein. First of all, you're not going to be as hungry. You're going to have fewer cravings. And there is absolutely no way you'll get bulky. You will not get bulky with eating more protein like this, and you will not get bulky with lifting heavier weights like I love to lift in my program. And heavy weight can be a push-up with your own weight. It has no impact on belly fat. In fact, yes, it has a awesome effect on belly fat. The question from Lisa is, does it have any impact on belly fat? Yes, it gets rid of it. Eating protein, every single medical study done on men and women has shown that 30 grams 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, protein consumption for weight loss candidates, they all lose weight. 30 grams 3 times a day. Okay. Next one, coffee. Anybody have any questions about coffee? Just want to remind you, caffeine, like food, like alcohol, they're all drugs. Caffeine is another form of a drug. I myself, I'm working on breaking the habit. So it is not the easiest thing on our gastrointestinal system. There's nothing wrong with a little bit, everything in a small amount, but watch how we use it throughout the day. I'm going to give you a little sleep tip. You're not here for sleep, but for those of you who know me, I'm crazy about sleep because if I get my sleep, then my workout that next day is going to crush it. If I don't get my sleep, I'm not going to want to work out. Sleep does everything. Sleep, we're burning fat during sleep. We become less reliant on carbohydrates the following day and less cravings the following day if we get our sleep. Creamer, healthy, can't find a healthy one. Okay, so I'm going to give you two answers, Tiffany. I love the 365 can of coconut milk. I like the light coconut milk only because it's liquidy. The not liquidy is like a hard rock, like you got to use a spoon and it's kind of a hassle. That would be my favorite. So I'm going to give you that one as the ideal choice is coconut milk because coconut milk is a beautiful, healthy fat. The 365 brand, I should get something for this, right? That's what Christine is going to say. The 365 brand of coconut milk is delicious. I sometimes sneak it, Victoria, into my kids' like pancake or waffle mix or like anything that requires milk for them. They don't even know it. If they knew it, they wouldn't eat it. It's so good for us. Okay, so Tiffany, that's that. Creamer, if you're talking about like half and half, go for it. The higher the fat of the milk, like half and half, the fewer sugar grams. So skim milk is chock full. First of all, it tastes like chalk, but it's chock full of sugar. So have the creamer. I have another client, she always says, it's the creamer in my coffee. I'm not giving it up because some women choose to let go of dairy or really significantly reduce their dairy. If the creamer in your coffee is a no-go, is like you're not willing to let go of it, go for it. It's like, it's probably 2 ounces. Tiffany, does that help? Okay, I'm just gonna say yes, and you'll tell me if not. Okay, what about fiber? So fiber is more complicated. Again, it depends on you and lifestyle. So I know, Victoria, you and I can have a separate conversation about it, but we do need to get it up there. We need to get our fiber up, and a great way to get our fiber up is through chia seeds and flax seeds. I'm a big fan of chia and flax because chia and flax also have what? Tons of protein. If you put chia and or flax in your oats in the morning with some coconut milk, the 365 coconut milk, and some walnuts and almonds or whatever, and you throw it in your Tupperware and you haul off to work, that is a great breakfast. You throw some blueberries if you're into that. I'm not, but that's just because I don't love blueberries. That's a great breakfast. You're getting your carbohydrate, you're getting your fiber, you're getting your protein, and it's like delicious. Who doesn't love oatmeal? Okay. Yes, glad. Fiber, creamer, half and half. Okay, so is half and half better than coffee mate powder? Much better. So anything powdered like that, that would be one of the places I would want to look at ingredients. And I would say you want to have something as, I'm always saying, I want you to have your food as close to the natural source. So the creamer's got so much processing in it and a lot of chemicals. So most definitely half and half. If I could move you from half and half closer to the 365 creamer, maybe do half and half, no pun, half and half and the creamer. But again, that is not that's not a showstopper for me. Showstoppers for me are usually, I hear a lot of women in our program with wine. So I had a woman this morning and she's really working on wine and she's going to add sparkling water. And I said, because she's focused so much on her wine at night, I said, throw some 7-Up in your wine, to dilute it and drink a little bit less. So instead of 8 ounces of wine or 6 ounces of wine, go down to 3 or 4 and have the rest 7-Up or sparkling water if sparkling water isn't good enough. But don't stress about the stress that we put on ourselves because of food is not worth it. I love to say the stress that we feel about our food, the shame, the guilt over food, puts more weight on us than the actual food that we're feeling stressed about. Because stress, cortisol, puts weight on our hips and our waistline. So our jobs, ladies, is to increase our protein, reduce our stress as much as we possibly can, get that quality sleep, find time on that calendar for you and for your wellness. All of these things take time, but I would like to say that it's worth it because the way you can feel after about a year of practicing these is completely different than perhaps you may be feeling now or you felt before. It's worth the time. Okay. Anything else? I was going to go through the list. Get 8 hours of sleep, walk 10,000 steps a day, strength train 3 to 5 times a week, include some cardio, but not too much cardio. Drink a gallon of water before coffee, but don't forget your electrolytes. Eat within an hour of waking, but remember that fasting is good for you. So those were all the, it was a social media post that one of my clients sent to me. And she felt very confused by it. And I love to use it because it's so true. We hear all of these things every day. So take one on. Just take one on. Taking all of these may feel overwhelming, and then you'll give them all up. Take one on and then add another one or increase your whatever it is. If you're gonna walk 8,000 steps, one of our clients just said she's committing to 8,000 because that's my number every day too. And I'm not getting to it, by the way, with this weather. 8,000 steps a day. And if I get to it 3 days a week, then maybe I'll add another 2,000 eventually over the course of a few months. But I'm not going to go from 8 to 10 because I'm not going to succeed. How much good food? How about good food to help you sleep? So the most important thing, Maria, about getting good food before sleep is you want to have at least 2 hours between the time you stop eating and when you go to sleep. Our bodies do not do well when we haven't given our enough time to rest and recover. Ideally, after that last meal, I would love everyone here in our party to go on a little bit of a walk after dinner. I'm talking to the end of your driveway, around your apartment complex, down the hallway of your office if you're at your office for dinner. Take a walk around the block if you're out with a group of friends after dinner. Get them to go with you. Walk. It is the best thing you can do to digest your food. Is peanut butter okay, or does it have too much sugar? I like it with apples for a snack. Go for it then. If it's going to get you to eat those apples, have the peanut butter. I think you see where I'm going. On the treadmill and walk while you spoke. I love it. See? And you get your creamer. You get your half and half. And then maybe I'm going to get you to the 365. Trying to think of, what about portion control? Great question. We're going to talk more about this because Lisa and I are getting together. Ideally, we want to be really mindful about how, when, and why we're eating. I think this is a great place for me to wrap too. Thank you, Lisa. Great idea. How we eat. We want to chew our food slowly and mindfully. Showstopper. I want you to chew your food 30 times. I want your food to turn to liquid. You know why? Because that is going to be better for your body to digest it. We were intended to chew our food a lot more than I know I do. Chew it. I want you to be seated. I'm coming to portion control, I promise. Seated is better than standing because I know, and I want to be just eating, and this is one that I'm really struggling with, and I have been. I don't want to be working or talking on the phone. Talking with somebody with no technology is great. Celebrating is great over food. But doing other things while I'm eating confuses the brain. The brain only knows how to do one thing well at a time. We are not natural multitaskers. We are natural monotaskers. So you want to sit, chew your food 30 times, and be as calm and peaceful at the time. Then, Lisa, you will have a sense of when your body feels satiety, satiated, full. Otherwise, if we have other things going on, if we're looking at our computer like I do, we're talking to people down the hallway, or I'm driving and eating, I am not paying any attention to how sated I feel. Instead, I probably overeat. So I would say pay attention to that. You will figure it out, but you're also going to need to get your 30, 30, 30. So you want your 30, 30, 30 of protein, you want your 45, you want your 25 of healthy fats. That's where you're going to start. Lisa, does that help? Okay. There's a lot. The good news is there's new research. The better news is that I'm here to help you. We have a new group we're starting in January. I've got a concierge small group we're starting up in January. What I do is I gather a group of women, typically between 6 and 8. Right now we have a time we've chosen, but we're really flexible. Half of the time we spend on these topics. Half the time we spend on these topics. And I have a whole curriculum and a facilitator's guide, just like a course. And then the other half of the program, the other half of the hour, it's for 1 hour. The other 30 minutes is for strength training. And you get in a great strength training workout in 30 minutes, as some of your friends here can attest to, and then you're out for the day. So I would love to see you and help you and work with you. Email me, text me if you have questions. Come and do a consult with me. And thanks for coming out to see me tonight. I hope you all have a good night. Yeah, and Christina just put my Calendly link to meet up with me anytime you want. And I put my telephone number, but I'm going to put my telephone number in one more time here, just in case you missed it from the beginning. There we go. Maria, so good to see you, girl.